Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Evo Live in Dubai, part 6 of a 6-part interview series. And we are humbled and we are honored to get to introduce tonight's guests, as we have been to introduce every week's guests.
My name is Pav, and this is Che, and we are co-hosts of the Staff Room podcast, and we are very excited to introduce the guest for part 6 today. We're starting with Naomi Toland, who is host of Empathetic Educators.
We have Sarah Mullen, deputy head and author from the UK.
We also have Raquel Sosa, who is senior director at the New York City Department of Education.
So everyone, sit back, enjoy the show, enjoy the last of this Live in Dubai series. And I'm Che, and this is Pav. And we have been honored and humbled to give this small introduction to every week's episode.
Remember to inspire,
don't require,
always be a humble servant,
and education never dies.
Right, guys, thank you very much for the introduction, Shay and Pav. Welcome to Agency Ed Talks Live, created for teachers and parents to help bring some insights about some of the hottest topics in education from a local and global perspective to help with remote learning and homeschooling needs. My name is Ivo Hanan. I have been in education all my life. I've been a teacher for 19 years now, and I'm currently enjoying the fruits of balancing both education, remote learning, and homeschooling at the same time. You can follow me on Twitter at Evo_Hanan. Follow the conversation about what's happening currently in this episode at the hashtag Agency Ed Talks Live. Obviously, if you would like to subscribe, if this is valuable to you, please feel free to subscribe to this channel at tiny.cc/Ed Talks Live. The big question that we're going to be tackling during this show is one that's kind of been tossed around quite a lot on social media. What do we need to consider as we transition back into school? Now, based on the kind of global network that I currently have, I already know that some schools across the world have stopped completely and ended for the summer, and some of them are considering opening up again in bubbles or small numbers of students. But this is an unprecedented time. So to try and reach out and get some insights, we've got 3 thought leaders who are going to share their ideas on this hot topic. We have Naomi Toland, who is going to be joining us from New Zealand, Sarah Mullin, who will be joining us from the United Kingdom, from England, and Raquel Sosa, who will be joining us from New York City in the US. We've also got our very trusted game show element called Crack the Code. We will be giving away $100 in total of Amazon gift card prizes, $50 in round 1 and $50 in round 2. All you need to do is choose the right colour, number and letter to crack the code and receive that Amazon gift card. If you'd like to register for the rounds, please feel free to visit the link above me where you can register for Crack the Code and stand a possible chance of walking away with $100 of gift cards. So our first guest, it's extremely late in New Zealand. It is Naomi Toland. She's an innovative educator, a Google innovator. She is the host of the Twitter chat empathetic_educators and also EduChat NQT. You can find her here on Twitter at Naomi_Toland. She also has her own YouTube channel where she does something very similar to what I'm doing actually. which is partly the reason why we connected so well. And she's just got doing so many things. Naomi, how are you doing?
Well, like you said, it is 3 a.m. In my time, so I have gone to sleep and then woke back up again. So yeah, I'm feeling pumped, I'm feeling ready, but still a bit sleepy, so we'll see.
No worries at all. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
So yeah, like you said, I've got empathetic educators and EduChat NQT. And I think that really started back in my first year of teaching, when I first moved to London as an NQT, and I was 21 years old, and I didn't think I prepared myself enough for that big move. And I love my kids, I love my community, but I really started to see an impact on my mental health in my first year. And I really wanted to understand why I was deteriorating and why I was going through what I was going through. And so that's where empathetic educators started, because I started researching the neuroscience behind it. And that really helped me empathize with my kids as well as my colleagues, because I was able to understand more about why I was reacting the way I was reacting. And so that's why I started the YouTube channel a couple of years ago, because I wanted to interview people. But the more I was interviewing people, the more I was like, this can't be just me who knows this. I want to kind of share that knowledge with other people. And so I've interviewed different people like neuroscientists, educational researchers, and just trying to get a common place where that all can be shared. And yeah, that's why I started with Katie Mullin, the idea of EduChat NQT, because I think our first year of education and first year of educators, they can be really tricky. So I want to try and support those teachers, not to kind of drop out of our profession, because it's so important for us to keep sustaining that understanding. So yeah,
absolutely,
my journey so far.
Well, I mean, you've just touched upon a really key issue there, because we're going to have a lot of teachers around the world who are only really starting to shape their craft, and they're now dealing with something that we've never experienced in modern day education. So the insights that you're going to bring and ideas are really valuable, especially from someone who is supporting NQTs and teachers who are new to the profession worldwide. So with this question in mind about things to consider when we drop back into school, particularly with your lens as someone who concentrates on neuroscience and well-being, what do you think we should be looking at?
So I think, like we said, I'm in New Zealand at the minute, so I'm very grateful for the position that we're in. And so we've been actually in our third week or fourth week back into teaching. And so I've been able to see the transition of starting back to school, what that was like, and then what impacts it has had across the weeks as well. And I think a big consideration for me, whenever I was sitting in that planning day, and there's a photograph on Twitter, all the teachers were back in the old school setup of testing. So we were like distanced across the hall. And some people were getting a bit frightened of bringing flashbacks of their education. And I think what really stood out to me, even during that planning day, was what does together actually mean? And I wrote a blog about this for our team transition on Twitter. We're trying to collate what that looks like, what that transition looks like. And I think for me, what does together actually mean really stood out to me, because we were sitting separately, but we were filling in docs together, and that really brought us together for a common goal. And we were eating lunch, and we could smell the lunch that was around us. I was thinking about what experiences, even though we have to socially distance, even though we have to keep each other safe, how can we actually bring together and help that well-being piece? Because I think our biggest benefit at Stonefields was we thought about, instead of how do we keep people apart, we thought about how do we actually bring people together. And it was really cool in our schools. One example was we done a distance dance, a distance disco. So on the Friday that we came back, all the learners were able to dress up in what they wanted, and we had like a DJ playing. And so the kids were able to keep a distance, but that well-being piece of like having it fun, having it a fun place to be in school, rather than the kids saying, oh, she touched me, he touched me. We really focused on that kindness, and that empathy towards each other and being able to still have fun, not just following the rules. And that was a big consideration that I thought was important.
That's great. So with that in mind, I mean, you've shared a lot there. Can you leave our viewers and listeners with just three things to consider for this transition period?
That was hard. This is a concise sit down. But I think for me, creativity, kindness, collaboration, and communication, that was a really big thing that I think was all important. And creativity was probably the most important for me, that fun aspect, because I think in this time of uncertainty and change, and well-being can be a big factor in that. And the biggest thing that I've seen with our learners who were anxious and who were uncertain and who were worried about coming back to school, we've seen a really big drop down of anxiety because we think because of the fun activities that we were doing and that creativity and that approach that everyone's had a different experience. How can we come together and share that experience? So through communication and through collaboration, I think that's really important.
Great. So Naomi, thank you very much for your time. Maybe get yourself a little bit of sleep. I know you're going to get me back at some point. This is the bit that I'm like, I'm not even looking forward to this, guys, because I know these Irish, you've got to look out for these Irish. So Naomi, thanks again for joining us at such a late hour. I know I'm going to be catching up with you again soon. And take care of yourself.
Thank you.
No problem. And I'm just going to drop up actually the image of your chat now, just so people can have an understanding of empathetic educators. Thanks again.
Thank you.
So you just saw there that Naomi's obviously got some particular viewpoints on what we're doing when we transition back in. Great to see. And also, she's currently living in the only nation in the world that is COVID-free. So great insights there. Thank you very much. We are constantly being supported by people in various social media platforms. The education community that I'd just like to give a quick shout out to, who have been supporting our Ed Talks live shows from the very beginning. Crazy PLN, Barbara Bray and her podcast, she's been awesome. The Staff Room podcast, Shay and Pav. Phil Cotton at Learn by Layers. Mel and Nicole and Evan at the Edu Table. Kevin Simpson and his team at KDSL. We've got Aviva at Lesson Impossible. We've also got A Better Classroom with Debbie Ferguson. Dustin Pearson with We Are One Team. Inspire Citizens with Steve, Kavita and Aaron. Jason Regan with his design cast. We've got Tammy and her team with Ed Talks Live, and we've got the Tiny Voice tag team led by Toria Bono as well. These guys have really helped us out, and with this actually being the last show of the season, I really want to send a thank you out for their support. So, our next guest is a deputy head. She's a deputy head at the Priory School in Edgbaston. She's an award-winning educator and an author as well. You can follow her on Mrs. Sarah Mullin, at Mrs. Sarah Mullin on Twitter, and she's just also started her own YouTube channel very recently, sharing edu tips. Sarah, can you make yourself present, please? Let's see if she is about.
Hello.
Hold on. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Sarah, I think we've just moved the camera a little bit. Can you just tilt your camera back down for me?
Sorry,
just to get it. Oh, there you go. Okay, Sarah, how is it all going in Edgbaston? You live in Edgbaston, right?
I live just outside Edgbaston in the West Midlands.
West Midlands, Edgbaston. Is that this near Birmingham?
It is, so it's just near Birmingham Airport, so it's called Solihull.
Great. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us from the United Kingdom. Sarah, I mean, you're a mother as well, right?
Yes.
Like a mother, is it?
Really good show,
Is it three?
Three.
I mean, tell us a bit more about what you do. I don't know how you do it. Like, honestly, please share the secrets.
Well, thank you for having me, Ivo. I'm Sarah Mullin. I'm an educational leader and I'm a Doctor of Education student as well from the West Midlands in England. I love to coach aspiring school leaders and I support student teachers and early career teachers nationally and increasingly internationally as well. I published my first book in December last year, which I'm delighted to say is a #1 bestseller.
Yay!
Last month I was honoured to be named a rising star in education and academia, and I was delighted to receive the Contribution to Education Award of the Year in November.
Wow.
So you can see I'm really passionate about the transformational power of education and the power of collective thinking. So that's why I'm so delighted to be here today.
Great, sir. I mean, well, you are just like, talk about spinning plates. I mean, absolutely brilliant. So, I mean, with you being a deputy head as well, some of the key decisions that we're looking at with today's question is something that you're going to be tackling. So, yeah, share some insights on what you think we should consider when transitioning back into school life.
Well, I think as we know, pastoral care and student outcomes are inextricably linked. So we need to consider both the impact on students' knowledge, their experiences and their well-being as well. As we transition through this brand new phase in education, we need to be adaptable and flexible, working with school, with parents and carers to make sure that we're maximising the learning potential and the optimum well-being of each and every child. As we know, every child's experience during COVID-19 will be different. Some may have had a joyful experience and they might have enjoyed a slower pace of life, whereas some children might have had a deeply traumatic experience. Some children will have had the means to access work remotely and will have been able to continue with their school's curriculum. But conversely, we know that there will be children who will have significant gaps in their learning. As teachers, we're used to this. We're used to supporting students through challenging times. And we know that there's going to be complex times ahead of us where we too will be learning and will be adapting so that we're best placed to support our learners. We will need to consider how we offer support to those who've lost loved ones or whose personal circumstances may have changed, such as there might have been family breakups or financial difficulties. They might be dealing with loneliness or potential safeguarding issues, and the impact that lockdown might have had on existing mental health conditions as well. I think as teachers, we naturally want to ensure that all of our learners fulfil their potential, and we'll need to meet the individual needs of our students. We also need to recognise that our colleagues will have had difficult experiences and different experiences. So it's really important that we all work together and support one another through this transition period. Absolutely.
I mean, you could probably write a book on it based on what you've just mentioned, Sarah, to be honest. That's a lot of insight, and you've clearly thought about being right there in the school that you're in, about ways that this needs to be tackled. What is the current situation with the schools in your area?
So all of the schools have never been shut, despite what's in the media.
Okay.
We have teachers in school who are supporting the children whose parents are key workers, and their role is crucial to tackling COVID-19. We also have vulnerable children as well who are in school receiving education and care from their teachers. And teachers across the country are working at home just a little bit differently. So setting work online, marking work, giving feedback, making phone calls home to the children as well. So schools are open, we're just operating in slightly different ways to before.
Absolutely. So, I mean, there's so much you've shared. A couple of tips that you could leave the listeners with on what they should consider wherever they are.
I think my tips would be, first of all, respect. Respect that our colleagues and children will have had different experiences, and they therefore might have different emotional reactions about returning to school and also about the transitioning phase as well. Respecting new rules and regulations, so schools are going to look completely different to how they did before lockdown. So we need to respect that social distancing measures and hygiene measures will be in place. We need to respect those to make sure that we're operating safely and effectively. I think as well to respect each other and ourselves, that nobody's going to have the right answer straight away. It's going to take a little bit of time to work through this phase together.
Absolutely.
And my second one, sorry.
No, go on. Absolutely. Go for it.
My second one, it touches on what Naomi said actually, about communication is going to be key. We need to talk and we need to share ideas. We need to share resources and share experiences with each other, learning from our international colleagues as well. I always say collaboration, not competition. We're all in this together. We're all going through a unique time together. So we need to communicate. And an important part of communication as well is listening. So really listening to our children, listening to their lived experiences, listening to their needs, so that we're best placed to support them and offer them the intervention that's right for them. And then finally, I'd say positivity. We know it's challenging, we know it's tough, but I think as educators, we really need to put on a positive front and to remain optimistic that we'll just have to work a little bit differently, and nobody prepared us for that, but we can get through this together with just a positive outlook.
Awesome. Sarah, thank you very much for your insights. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Please stick around for the rest of the show. We're going to be jumping into the first round of Crack the Code. I'm just going to quickly also share an image of your latest, well, the book that you released, your first book. And
Thank you so much, Hugo.
No problem. Take care of yourself, and we'll catch up soon. Okay, guys, so crack the code. Ready for round one, everyone. It's quite simple, really. You just got to crack the right code by guessing the right combination. Colour, number, letter. Here we go for round one. Everyone who's in the game, good luck. All right, guys, so it is landed on green. So the people who are green, we've got quite a few greens, so you're still in the game. Let's have a look at the number. Okay, number 4. Can I see a... Okay, so we're a bit close here because we've got green 3s and green 5s. No 4. Let's go to the last one, which is the letter. And it stopped at V. So let me just see. It would actually be, let me just see if I can get this right. Let's see, it's Tracy who's won. So I'm just going to see if she's about to receive this call. 3, 2, 9. There we go. Let's see if she's about.
Hello?
Tracy, how are you? It's Evo.
Hi. Hey, I'm just listening to the show.
Yeah, well, congratulations. You've just won round 1 of Crack the Code.
Yeah, I know. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here on the last episode this season.
Yeah, no problem at all. Honestly, Tracy, you've been one of those supporters who's been watching almost every single show, if not all the shows. So thank you very much for your support. Your $50 Amazon gift card will be with you in the next 48 hours. Please stick around for the rest of the show and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you so much. Have a great summer.
You too. Bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, there we have it. So, Tracy Smith from New Orleans has won the first round of Crack the Code in this last show of the season. We're going to move on to our final guest before we do round two. She's the Senior Director of the New York City Department of Education. She's also a doctoral student, a lot of experience in education. You can follow her on Twitter at Raquelita_Sosa. Raquel, are you there to support what our conversation is about?
Hi, Evo. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Raquel?
I'm doing great. I'm doing very good. Thank you.
What time is it there in New York City?
Oh, I'm doing a lot better than Naomi was doing. It's about 11:30 here, maybe. So
11:30.
Yes.
Okay. And have you got a nice day planned ahead?
Say that again?
Have you got a nice day planned ahead?
Oh yes, definitely. What we can do here, since we still are practicing social distancing.
Of course.
And so yes.
Of course. So please share with our viewers, our audience, a little bit about your experience in education.
Sure. So this is, I think, maybe my 22nd year in education. Graduated on a Friday and started teaching on Monday.
Wow.
I was handed a textbook and students. I was 22 teaching in high school. And so if you can do that, you can do anything,
Wow.
I would say. But I am passionate about education. I was a classroom teacher for 15 years. My expertise being in newcomer students and English as a second language. My last experience as a teacher in the classroom was working at a newcomer school in Houston, Texas, where our students were all refugee students with either no formal education or very limited education. And so I just became more and more passionate about advocating for our students. Now I actually have transitioned to New York City, where I am a senior director in our curriculum instruction and professional learning department. And so right now, our biggest task is supporting our 44 school districts, which encompasses 1,800 schools and supports 1.1 million students. And so that's no task that we take lightly. And so right now, our biggest challenge really is making sure that our students are still learning. As we are still in remote learning, our students are still in school. We've been in remote learning since March. And so a big responsibility I have is to make sure that we are supporting teachers in this brand new, really unprecedented time. I really have to brag on New York City because we actually transitioned to remote learning within 72 hours.
Wow.
And that is a very big feat when you're talking about 1,800 schools and 1.1 million students. And so very proud of the work that we've been doing. By no means do we have the magic key and we're ready to proclaim that, but I do think that we're on a very good path.
Wow. I mean, those numbers, 1,800 schools, 1.1 million students. Raquel, I'm not entirely sure how you managed to get any sleep. I mean, seriously, that's a lot to deal with. So with all of that experience, transitioning back into school from remote learning, what are the types of conversations that have been going on within your citywide area?
Sure. So as I mentioned, we actually were the epicenter here in the United States in terms of cases. And so we take that very seriously. As I mentioned, we are still learning a lot about our environment. One of the things we take the most consideration of is just the health of our students, the health of our staff, of our teachers. We understand that we still have students and teachers and administrators that may be asymptomatic. And considering that, if we come back into a school system that would be traditional face-to-face. And I think an added concern that we have now is the multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children, which is the MISC, which is something new. So here in New York City, we have, I think, about 200 cases of students who have this syndrome, and we have had experienced 3 deaths, unfortunately. So when you think of that, yes, absolutely, education is very important, but more so than that is the health of our students and our faculty and our staff. So that is something that we are really taking into consideration. Aside from that, regardless of how we do come back to school in September, one of the things that we are really honing in on is the fact that we have championed this agenda of equity and excellence for all of our students. One of the things, another thing I need to brag on for New York City is we actually have bridged this digital divide that we had by distributing 300,000 iPads to students who had no digital devices once we entered into remote learning. And so once again, no, that's no small feat for us to be able to make sure that our most vulnerable students, first of all, had access to these digital devices, and they were all Wi-Fi enabled, so that they would be able to continue with their education regardless of their circumstance. So I think that's another thing we definitely are taking into consideration, purchasing more digital devices for students as we continue. We don't know how we're going to be entering schools again.
Okay.
And I think the last thing, go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing with what you're saying.
And the other thing that we are definitely thinking of and do not take lightly is the social emotional learning of our students as well. As both Naomi and Sarah mentioned, we know that our students and our faculty have been devastated by this.
I understand that very much so. It's
not just about educating students. Students have lost loved ones, and we have to keep that at the front and foremost of our minds, that these students have really gone through something very devastating. Teachers have gone through things that are very devastating, and so we have to remember that. I know one of the things our chancellor says to us all the time is, number 1, take care of yourself, and number 2, take care of each other. And so we have to consider that moving forward, however it is that we continue, whether it's a situation where we have a blended learning model where some students are returning to school in a face-to-face situation while others remain at home, especially maybe our most vulnerable students in terms of health. There are many, many considerations that we still have to take as we continue, but at the forefront of what we do, just making sure that our students are safe and continue to make sure that we're able to educate them in the best way possible.
You know, Raquel, you've really shared something that's deeply connected with you there. And really, to be honest, everything that you've just said pretty much answers and gives an insight and advice to people who are listening. It is all about students. It's all about making sure that they're going to be okay, whether they're at home, whether they're going to be in school part-time and be at home. This is difficult for adults. You know, imagine how difficult it is going to be for students, particularly ones who have been affected by the current situation. Raquel, thank you very much for sharing your insights and joining us from New York City. It really has struck a tone with me there, what you've shared. I know I'm going to be catching up with you soon. We always seem to have quite a bit to talk about when we do manage to catch up, so I look forward to that conversation. Good luck with transitioning back in, and enjoy as best as you can the rest of your weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you, likewise.
Thank you. Okay, guys, so it is round 2 of Crack the Code now. There is another $50 Amazon gift card to be given away. Good luck to everyone who has entered. We've had a few more people who've entered the competition to see if they can be fortunate enough to win this prize. Good luck. Let's spin the colours first. Okay, so the colour that it's selected is blue. So everyone who selected blue, there's quite a few people who have selected blue, are still in the game. Let's go to our numbers. Okay, it's actually selected number 2. So blue 2. We do not have a blue 2, but we have some that are very, very close. Let's see who's the closest. We have, actually, we have just one, Eileen. Eileen is actually the closest. So let me see if I can give Eileen a quick call. This is the last Crack the Code of the season. Let me see if I can make this work. Oh, not sure if I've gone. Okay, I'm gonna have to try that again. Hold on one sec, guys. Let me just see if I can try this one more time. Yeah, no, it doesn't seem to be. Oh, hold on. Let's see if that's going to work.
Hi, Evo.
Hi, Eileen.
Yeah, hi.
How you doing? I'm good. Obviously, you've just seen that you've just won round 2 of Crack the Code. Congratulations. A $50 Amazon gift card is going to be coming your way.
Thank you so much, Evo. That is terrific.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
No.
I just joined, so this is wonderful.
Yeah, no problem at all. Well, obviously the luck is with you, so hopefully that luck will continue throughout the weekend and further on to the week, Eileen. Thank you very much. It will be coming your way in the next 48 hours. Thanks again.
Thanks again. Thanks so much, Evo.
Thank
yes,
you.
Thank you.
Bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that was the final Crack the Code. We've had Tracy, who has won a prize, and also Eileen, who's won a prize as well. It's been great actually just seeing and listening to people's reactions, and after the show when you get in contact with people, it really does put a smile on their face. So I'm really glad that we've managed to fit this segment into the show. We're coming to the end of the show now. I would like to thank our guests, Naomi Toland, Sarah Mullin and Raquel Sosa, for sharing their insights on the big question about ways we should, ideas we should consider when transitioning back into school. Now, with this being our last show of the season, we'll be returning back with season 2 in late August, where we will have more big questions, more really insightful, thought-provoking conversations, and more fantastic guests from around the world. This is a great opportunity for me to really say thank you for everyone who has supported the show for season 1. It wouldn't be where it is without you. And it's really helped me as a host. It's inspired me to continue to develop the show. I mean, you'll know from show number 1 all the way to where we are now, there's been a lot of changes, a lot of innovations, and a lot of that is down to the feedback I have received from you, both through phone conversations, emails, and on Twitter as well. So thank you very much for that. Although we're going to be stopping the shows, we are going to be introducing a new concept, which is called Ed Talks Session. To say a note to everyone, I think the broadcast just went out for a little bit, but where are we here? We've been in a lot of deep conversations over the last few shows, last 6 shows actually, with guests sharing insights and also some of their personal kind of approaches and feelings about some of the topics that we've discussed. I'd like you to take that away with you. Feel free to tune into any of the previous episodes where we spoke about mental health. We spoke about other various issues to do with school and making sure that people are approaching education in the best possible ways. Thank you once again for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you in August. If you would like to take part in Ed Talks sessions, please feel free to do so. I look forward to hosting that show on the 27th of June. There's going to be some credits of me just thanking everybody who's been involved. Please do take care of yourselves, and I look forward to seeing you soon.